Hey y'all, how's everybody doing out there? I'm currently waiting for our guest, but in the meantime, while we're waiting for our guest, I will tell you who I am and what you're doing here. I am ShirahDedman, and we're here at Web3 Weekly Live, where we'll be going live every Thursday at your local time. And sometimes, just like the Web3 world, this is an experiment, and sometimes things will break and things will lack documentation, et cetera, et cetera. So just roll with us. We are all here. I also wanted to say that the beauty of all of this technology is that to make it a more interactive experience, we have the ability to give you a link, and if somebody wants to call in, feel free, except obviously you can always just chat away. So if you go to our comment section, we're going to add a link for you to talk. Boom, right there. So in case a lot of you come here and you were wondering, hey, what the heck is Web3? Web3 is the next generation of the internet. So Web 1.0 was like Netscape, dial-up, AOL. Web 2 is all of your cloud services like Google and just everything becoming more like actually searchable and interaction and all of that. And the next generation, Web 3, is going to be all about decentralization, people starting to realize that they have to own their data, but with owning your data also means paying for services we're not used to. We're used to being free, and we're the ones being sold. So guess what? We actually have our guest here, Dee. And so today we're going to have on the show Dann Moreno, who's going to talk about Giveth. It's a new Web3 way of giving. And so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to welcome Dann to our show. And hi, Dann. Do you hear me?
Thanks, Shira. Yes, do you hear me?
I can hear you. It's
I'm
good.
So happy to see you. I'm so
I know.
sorry.
I already warned people that things may break. It's all good.
Well, first thing broke already. My camera is not working since last week. I don't know why.
It's all good.
Technical problems on Web3.
All good. Maybe if you have a picture, darn it, won't let me do it. But I was going to say you could always add a photo. I always add my photo. I was hoping originally this show was going to be like audio only. I was trying to bring like, that kind of Twitter Spaces thing. And then I was doing like LinkedIn audio, and then LinkedIn audio was horrible. You want to talk about rugging, which is like the new term we've all learned, where you keep getting dropped. I couldn't let my guest up. My guests kept getting dropped. Like I couldn't get them on, and it was horrible. And I just was like, I can't do this. And so I started using StreamYard, which is like super cool, and you could simulcast and all this stuff. And then we did, where we used our avatars, and then we realized that like going back, it just didn't make sense to have this video and then have these avatars. It just didn't work out. So now I have to comb my hair every Thursday. You know how y'all it is. Anyway, nice. I'm so happy you're here, Dann. And again, I'm going to let Dann speak, but it's kind of a funny story. But Dann and I actually used to work together. And without knowing it, we went our separate ways, and we both ended up in the Web3 world, which is really interesting because we both come from the world of what I call the solidarity economy. Let me go back to this.
Yes. And I think one of the most interesting things is that it's the third time that we're actually meeting in the similar spaces, because before working together,
right.
We studied the same program.
I forgot about that. You're right. It's like we just keep having this crossover, which again is really interesting because that was a program called the Next Economy MBA run by Lift Economy, lifteconomy.com. And it's kind of interesting that we ended up there because again, I guess because we have this collaboration mindset, and that for people with this kind of collaboration mindset, that again, we ended up in Web3, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's you're not getting rid of me that easily, I guess. You're going to see me popping by once and again.
That's all good. I like you, Dan.
Awesome. I'm so happy that you're doing this also.
Thank you. So let's get into it, because I always feel bad about people. I can run my mouth if y'all haven't noticed. But again, we've described what Web3 is. So let's talk a little bit, Dan, about how you ended up in Web3, how you ended up at Giveth, and then we could talk about what Giveth does and just get into this.
Absolutely. So let me start with actually. So Giveth is not that new, actually. I mean, we've been around, or they've been around. I'm mostly new here, but they've been around since 2017. But anyways, we'll talk more about that. Let's start with how did I end up here? And it's an interesting story because I've been like since I think 2016 or 2017 when I saw like Bitcoin growing that much, and I was like, well, this is very interesting. Um, it will be amazing if we can have something that is regenerative, like a regenerative economy, grow this much or grow like this. So I had it on the back of my mind, and I was like researching. I ended up going to a hackathon in somewhere in Switzerland. By the way, I'm from Mexico, so I just really researched things, and I just like really wanted to do it. So that project was called. It's called. I think it's still there. Faircoin, but I think I don't know. I don't want to talk for them, but I think they were really affected by the bubble of 2017. And anyway, so I had it on the back of my mind for a long time, but then so the other voice on the back of my head said, "Okay, Dan, get real, get a job." Well, I became an entrepreneur for a long time, but
that's just rude. All right, okay, you and I know how hustle you are. All right, so
I know, but sometimes it's just like real life is challenging, and bills too. So at some point I said like, okay, so I think that I just need to. I'm not going to stop dreaming because I think that's the engine, but I think that it's not the right time. Um, so I got a few jobs, kind of like became more traditional everyday worker, uh, but one way or another, like entrepreneurship kept calling me, and at some point I went to an event. I already had like a circle of entrepreneurs, and someone told me like, "Are you going to the Taoist?" And I said like, "What? Are you trying to subscribe me to any religion thingy?" He said like, "No, man, Taoist. It's an event for DAOs." And I'm like, "What is a DAO?" No, decentralized autonomous organizations are these amazing new structures. Do you know like multi-stakeholder cooperatives? And yeah, yes. Well, that's a digital multi-stakeholder cooperative. And like, wow, that's awesome. Yes, I'm going to be there. And okay, long story short, I just went to the event. My friend was presenting about how to work in a DAO and why you should do it. And at the end, I just went to him and I said, like, "Hey, man, I like your presentation was amazing. I'm in between jobs. Do you think that I should work at the DAO?" And he said, "I don't think that you should work at the DAO. I know in which DAO you should work." And he took me to the stand of Giveth. He took me and introduced me to Griff. By the way, the best speaker that I know. I admire this guy so much. Not only a speaker, like he has some revolutionary ideas. He's the founder of Giveth.io. And I also met the whole team there. Well, not the whole team, but I met some people there. And basically, about a week later, I was already contributing to Giveth. So, and that was 6 months ago.
Oh, I was talking to myself. Unmute yourself, girl. That's great story. I love it, especially because I think that's a story I'm getting from a lot of people in the Web3 space. It's good for what I'm gonna call misfits. People who are just like, I gotta be into something. I want to know, like high energy. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go. High energy misfits. How about that? So, so that's cool. So you're at Giveth. And tell us more about Giveth.
Yeah, absolutely. So Giveth, on the surface, is a Web3 donation platform, right? So it's just way better than a Web2 donation platform in many ways. If you are especially like already in crypto. If you're not in crypto, still might be a bit challenging. We're sorting out the frictions there. But if you're in crypto, basically you can donate to any project anywhere in the world, and 100% of all the donation goes to the projects, which is something that is not that no Web2 project can do. Usually they are regionally focused, and usually they take at least a 5 to probably 10 or 15% of cut, because they have to pay the payment process organization, and they have to pay themselves, right? So that was the first innovation. But that's not actually what Giveth is. Giveth is a way to empower those who give, and those who give value. So those who are giving money and donations, but also those who give their efforts, their time, their energy to make the world a bit better.
Okay, well, let's get more into that, right? Yeah. Because I think a lot of times people say this, and we want to know why Web3, like why, it's not a Web2 giving platform. Well, what does that actually mean? How does that look different?
Yeah. So I think on the one hand, usually there are two different ways of looking at it. One is usually economic. So with Giveth, we can create economic incentives for rewarding people for doing the right things, right? Well, yeah, I think the two scopes are there. One is like economic incentives, and the second one is doing the right thing, like creating a better world, more socially conscious, more environmentally sound. So that's what we are doing, and I would love to get into details with that of that.
Here's another thing that what might be interesting, since I can't see your face. I'm just teasing you. Okay, so one of the things that one of our guests did last week, if you watched with Clint from tangent.art, is he actually shared his screen. So if you'd like to share your screen, maybe you could talk about some of the projects that we would see on Giveth. And again, how interacting with a Web3 platform might be the same or different than interacting with a Web2 giving platform. Is that possible? Or maybe I can see if I can bring it up. Would that be easier?
Yes, that is possible.
I like to try out this whole technology thing to its fullest. And again, it might break things, but it's worth trying.
Yes, I am on it.
Okay, you do.
To StreamYard right now.
Again, if you're just tuning in, thanks again for being here. This is Web3 Weekly Live, and we're here with Dan Moreno from Giveth.io. I don't know why I'm not speaking English today. Giveth.io, and we're talking about how blockchain and crypto technology can impact sustainable giving. So Dan is going to share with us some of the projects that you might see on Giveth. That's their Twitter handle. And how that might look different from Web2 or the same, because what does it mean when we're getting into this Web3 world? How do we adopt it? How do we interact with it? That's what Web3 Weekly is all about. So thanks, Dan. We're going to add your screen in. Talk us through this. Yes. Oh, I love it. It's in Spanish. That's another thing I love about this Web3 world. My goodness, are you thrown into like this whole international, just everything? It's awesome.
Yes, it is. Okay, so do you see my screen right now?
I sure do. Yep, I see it.
Okay, awesome. So let's. Yeah, I'll show you the so Giveth, but just I wanna kind of like share a little bit of some slides that I'm working on right now.
Sweet.
So yeah, just the comparison right now, it's like this Web2 with 5 to 10% fees on donations and regional scope, versus this Web3, which can have like this zero fee, absolutely zero fee. All donations from the donor goes to the project and worldwide platform. But that was only the beginning, right? Like we're Web3, we can do better than that. So what if donors get rewarded for donating? What if they can use those rewards to multiply the support for their favorite projects. Like, can they do more than just donating? What if the rewards that they are getting can be used to further support the projects? And what if those projects that are stewarding public goods will become sustainable tokenized economies? So I know there's a lot to unpack there, but this is just kind of like, to your question about why Web3 and how can a Web3 donation platform be different? Like, it's really hard to do any of all these things with Web2.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, especially with Web3, what I'm noticing a lot of use of, especially like after we talked to Clint about this NFTs and e-commerce and finance, and just really starting to unpack the utility of NFTs. Like, literally, how can NFTs be useful to businesses and businesses connecting with communities? So one of the things I'm noticing is that the ability, it's like taking the whole connecting, how do I put this? Like, remember you buy from DSW, you get a bunch of points, you can use those points again. And so it's kind of like that kind of tokenized and on steroids. That's the only way I can think of it right now. I'll learn how to explain it a little bit better. But I really see that people are utilizing Web3 to increase engagement with their communities, because by sort of tokenizing this interaction, it just makes it easier for people to I guess understand, well, earn, right? Like, earn the reward and then interact with the rewards. So I don't know. Do you have more to say about that and how Giveth is using that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're hitting the nail. I mean, Web3 actually gives you the opportunity to give value to a lot of things where Web2 cannot. And where Web2 usually take that value and embed it into the organizations that are like the platforms. Whereas Web3, with this tokenization, can distribute again the value that is given, not only for like by the actions, but by the interactions. I don't know if that was a bit weird, but yeah. And I can take you a little bit on the flow of what we're trying to do. Like, what does this means? So we start with a zero fees worldwide platform. This is already better than any Web2 platform that I know. I don't know any other Web2 platform that does this. But that was just the first step, right? We introduced the Give Back program.
Wait.
Yes.
How do you make money then?
That's
right? Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes. So that's a question that pops up very often. And so Giveth is a nonprofit itself. So we're building a regenerative economy, and we're not creating a business model. We are creating an economic model. So we have our own token. We have the Give token, and we have a roadmap to make our token more valuable during time. So how we want to do this, we want to turn a lot of nonprofits into, like, nonprofits by default cannot have business models. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's not something that maybe we want to change, because it will change the way that nonprofits work. But we can do so much better than the nonprofits do right now in the system that they are. What if nonprofits could become tokenized microeconomies, right? And they can, instead of having a business model, have an economic model that attributes and distributes value. And the same thing, so we're dog fooding our system, right? We say that you don't necessarily have to have a business model, but you can have a sustainable economic model, and we are the first one that are starting this. Was that clear?
Well, sometimes I wonder if I try to come back to people who may not understand this a little bit more. And so I feel like when we talk about DAOs, like, when you're in this world, it's easy to just throw out DAO. That's why I threw up, again, sort of the definition we're giving it, even though there's probably a better definition. And that is essentially a business that lives on the blockchain, so that the algorithmic decisions can be made. You program decisions into the blockchain. You program people's ability, voting power into the blockchain. And that's sort of what we're seeing with DAOs. So like, for instance, what I love is sort of the overlap with the cooperative model. In a cooperative, people will, you have the members who have say-so shares, maybe according to how much they work, how much they put in. And DAOs are like that too. Now, so far, the way DAOs are had, sort of it's working out tokenization wise is that people, the more money you put in, the more tokens you get, the more power you get in the DAO. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's just the way that things are sort of ending up. So we see that you would like to create this as a DAO. If we can sort of dumb it down just a little bit more, I shouldn't use the word dumb it down, but simplify. What does that mean to tokenize? And again, when you tokenize something, it's usually what you're tokenizing maybe is like membership. In this case, it sounds like membership, right? So the nonprofits are the ones, is it the projects that are receiving a token? Who is receiving a token? What is the thing that is being tokenized?
Yes, I'll go there.
Okay, cool.
Basically, tokens are a way to reward people on our economy, but tokens usually they work in a free market, so people assign them value. So you have ways of issuance tokens and demand sources of tokens, and you have people that are trading those tokens, and the market is assigning it a value. And it's like, like, I don't know, like if you were in a casino and you get these chips that have a value, but in the casino, the casino tells you like this one is worth $100, and this one is worth 50. Whereas here is the free market and the uses that you have for them. So if you want to have a successful economic model, you have to have use for your token. And that is what we are doing. So I'll just quickly explain that what are the things, or how we want to kind of like disrupt the nonprofit sector, not only a nonprofit, but the whole public goods sector.
Yes, let us know.
People might think that there is no money in public goods, but like everything that the government does is for public goods. So all like federal and state and local spending is for public goods. So it is huge. It is
I think yes, there's a lot of money coming out of the government, but I think too, when we think about like sustainable giving, we do think about governmental grants. But obviously people donating their own hard cash or money and whatever in kind donations. And I think that we also worry about people who give, worry about where their dollars are going to go, or their money, I shouldn't say dollars, but their money is going to go. A lot of times we feel like all it does is go to admin. And so it's really interesting that your platform has zero fees. And then I also think that when we talked about tokenization for nonprofits, is how this, like you said, is going to lead to sustainable giving. And I think that only just relying on, like grants is not sustainable, because grants dry up. They're hard to get, like it's just how can we use this tokenization to make giving more sustainable? And so can you explain that?
Yeah. So after the zero fees platform, then the next thing that we introduced was the Givebacks program. This is the first way where we are rewarding. We're decentralizing our token, and we're rewarding people that are giving, which are people that are producing a lot of value. So when you donate through Giveth, you can get up to 75% of your donation back on the Give token. So, I mean, forget about zero fees. This is the first like really impressive breakthrough, right? Because the project is getting all the money for its impact, and you're getting 75% of the value back on the Give token. So this is just the first step. But if we only did this, like we will have like a lot of supply of tokens, and yeah, it wouldn't necessarily like be the best thing. But because how do you use the Give tokens, right? So the next step in our roadmap it's going to come actually in this month, is Give Power. And Give Power lets you, I mean, right now you can actually use your Give tokens for farming. So you can provide liquidity and you can get some more Give tokens on reward. There are like really, really interesting APRs there, up to like 200%, although not all of them are liquid. Not going to go into so much details because
right. No, that makes sense. But and actually, what I did was I threw up on the screen. And again, thanks everybody for joining us with Web3 at Web3 Weekly Live. As you can see, please feel free to comment because we want to be able to answer the questions that you have. And so we have a guest or an audience member, Ubio, who asks, practically, how can we launch a project on Giveth, especially when you are new to their community?
Yeah.
So how does somebody launch a project on Giveth?
Well, launching a project or a project in Giveth, it's fairly easy. If you know like GoFundMe or any donation platform, the process is quite similar. So right now I'm on Giveth's main page. So you can just like click here, create your own project. And if you're not signed in, it will ask you to sign in with your wallet.
And just a reminder, a wallet is where you would keep your cryptocurrency. So let's say you had Bitcoin, you need a wallet, just like you think of it like a digital pocket. You need money in your pocket. You need money in that wallet. So that's how people have them. And then you often, once you have your wallet set up, and this is called a soft wallet, a hot wallet, when it's on the website, when it's held in the internet. And yes, you would, if you're using these apps, and we called them dApps, decentralized applications here in the Web3 world, you would connect that to this application. So that's what Dan is talking about when he had his wallet set up and connecting his wallet now.
Yes, and also, I mean, on the other hand, your wallet in many dApps on Web3 is not only your digital pocket, but it's also your digital ID. So it's a way where you don't need to give your details for a business to benefit on them, but a way that you can like show your ID and just give all relevant credentials for them in a safe manner. So yeah, just here you put your project name, put a small description about it, which categories is your project impacting on, where is it located, and adding some images. The wallet where you will be receiving the funds, and you're ready to publish. So it's fairly easy. Like if you have all this information, it can take you less than 5 minutes. And anyone can upload projects. Like even if you want to collect money for, I don't know, you need a knee surgery, you can collect funds and give it. However, you will not be eligible to the Givebacks program, which is this other part that is kind of like revolutionary, because it's not only about giving, but we want to turn nonprofits into microeconomies. So the way that we do it is we reward the donors through givebacks. Up to 75% of what they donated goes back to donors. Then with Give Power, those donors can actually stake, and staking is basically kind of like investing their tokens behind projects. But by doing that, they actually gain an APR, but they also help the projects. So the projects in which they are staking their Give tokens are going to receive more matching funds. So you're supporting them to get more funds. But then using these tokens that you're locking in the project, we are going to use them as a collateral to spin off, to tokenize and spin off launch their token and spin off their microeconomy around the impact that they're having. So it's always easier with an example. Say that you have a nonprofit that is taking care of a river, right? And there's a lot of people getting value or that the river is clean, and a lot of people that will be affected if the river is polluted. So you can create and design an economy that gives value to those actions that make the river clean, and kind of like tax or have a cost for those actions that make the river more polluted. And you can like embed economic incentives in the way that people in the community behave around the river. And then boom, instead of being a nonprofit that just needs to ask money, like, hey, we need money to have some actions to clean the river or something like that, you start creating a whole way of interacting for people that need the river and that are there, like people in the community, where the way that they interact, it has embedded the system, the incentives to have the river non-polluted, to have a clean river. And that makes everyone take more care of the river, and those that take care of the river get rewarded by that. And that is how you make a nonprofit sustainable.
Okay, so I have a question. So this is really interesting to me that this is sort of around a staking model. So when we talk about tokenization, is it one central token to the platform, or are you creating what I'm going to call like tokenization as a service for nonprofits? So does each nonprofit or project, we'll call it, receive its own sort of in project token, or is every project using the same sort of overall token?
Okay.
And I'm going to throw up the definition of tokenization. It might be helpful to people. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So here we're here in the roadmap, right? Okay. We're still, I mean, we have tokenized one community, and we're in the middle of tokenizing a second community, but we cannot, like, all the nonprofits that come to us already give them that token. I mean, we can.
Okay.
Like, making a token is fairly easy. Right. If you know how to.
You're saying maybe that's on the future roadmap, but right now it's sort of one token that everybody's sort of using.
I mean, right now we're a donation platform that gives back to reward to donors.
Okay.
But very soon, actually in 1 month, you are going to be able to start staking your Give tokens behind projects, and that will help them get more funds. So not only the first donation that you made, but with the staking, you get an APR on the give backs that you're getting an interest, and projects are also getting more funds from that. And yeah, eventually we're going to, in our platform, we're going to have the model for them to have a way and a system to collect collateral for launching their own token, because we use something that is fairly complicated, that it's called augmented bonding curves, but it makes new tokens especially safer and less volatile. So that's something that we want for projects. That's why we're just not tokenizing them, because tokenizing them will be easy, but doing it the right way, that's a little bit trickier. So on the platform, you're mostly going to be interacting until that part, right? So on the platform, you're going to be interacting mostly with the Give token. But later on, when they are starting to get tokenized, you're also going to get rewards on their own tokens.
Got you. So in a way, so eventually Giveth will sort of have a token as a service model.
Yes.
Yes. Everything is at like SaaS, TaaS. So I should call it TaaS, a TaaS model. Got you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Wow. This is so much to always wrap your head around, especially when people are going to have to start learning about tokenization. I'm going to put that up. And so much of what Web3 companies are coming up with is having to come up what they call tokenomics. I probably should have put that one up too. So you'll hear that term a lot. Tokenomics. They'll say, like, what's the tokenomics? Like, how does the token work? And so that's what Dan just walked us through, was essentially the tokenomics of Giveth and what the tokens are going to mean to projects and how they're going to use them. Oh, it's so much. Okay. And thanks again to our audience member Ubio for that question. That was a really good question. And thanks, Dan, for walking us through how somebody would join, what this means for projects, and what blockchains are you on, or what cryptocurrency are you accepting for Giveth?
We're accepting all ERC20 tokens. We are on, well, the ones that are on mainnet and the ones that are on Gnosis chain.
Okay. So ERC20 is Ethereum.
Yes.
I always try to just like, how do we bring it back? Okay, so Ethereum. And I thought I saw, so what does that mean, Gnosis chain? Is it still easy for me to go and purchase this ERC20 that I would need to interact with Giveth? So like, how would I go about, because you told me Gnosis changed. So I just want to know, like, if I go on Coinbase or something, or like some kind of exchange, a decentralized exchange, maybe I just go in and I pick ERC20, or is there something specific that I have to pick to know? Or is it just kind of like, if I just buy some Ethereum, it's going to work? I know, I think I lost him. So good. It's okay. I'm going to go ahead with the assumption that I can just buy some ETH on like Coinbase or something and use it. Didn't I warn you all that this is Web3 and this is an experiment and subject to break? All right. So if you're just tuning in, we were talking to Dann Moreno of Giveth, and we were talking about the tokenomics of Giveth and how staking your tokens with a certain project will help reward the donor. And by rewarding the donor, you're incentivizing them to donate more. And that's the beauty of how we're going to use Web3 to make giving more sustainable. So I'm going to assume that we're not going to get him back on. And I'm going to say thank you to our audience members. Does anybody have any questions? You can always call in using the link that we shared with you. And also, if you want to chat, you can chat, because we want to make sure that we're all using this time to actually learn. And once again, Web3 is about the next generation of the internet. It's going to be powered by blockchain and cryptocurrency technologies. And as you've seen, a lot of that means we're going to have wallets that have this cryptocurrency in it. And those wallets are going to be able to also act as digital IDs when we're interacting with all of these dApps, decentralized applications like Giveth, like Tangent that we talked about last week. And if you're tuning in next week, we're going to talk to Devin Wersch of Crypto Chefs. And what's really interesting about Crypto Chefs is they have a learn to earn, I think it's called learn to earn rewards technology business model. So we're going to get more into that, because a lot of the learn to earn, participating to earn, kind of like what Dan was talking about, is what Web3 is going to be about, and how it's going to change how people, how businesses are interacting with their community, how communities are interacting within each other. That's definitely what I see the disruption happening. Hey, Dan, you're back. Thanks again for sharing that with us. I think my computer's about to die. I'm about to bust out, but I did do a sort of a wrap up. But if you want to end things with what you think people need to know about Giveth that we maybe haven't covered, that'd be great.
Yes, absolutely. You hear me, right?
Oh, I can hear you. Please, yeah. I'm just checking to grab my my plug, because somehow my plug came out.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
My computer's about to die. Okay.
Well, my internet died just a second ago, so I feel you.
Oh, I know. And I said, hey, guys, you were warned, or hey, people, you were warned things break.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe last things. As you can see, like when you come in to Giveth, you have the options of like donate. Now you can donate if you click on donate now, it's actually like for the Giveth project and for everything that we are building. It's actually for the matching pool, for all the funds that we're going to be distributing based on the give power that people are staking behind the project. So this is curation from the community. If you can go to projects and just see which projects you like. There is, for example, On-Chain, which is has collected more than almost 150K for Ukraine support, nothing related to war supplies or weapons or anything like that, just humanitarian support. And you can see there's projects for everything. We've been growing a lot the last year, that since we pivoted and we created this platform. And you can create your own project. It's permissionless, and if you have something to give, something that is working for public goods, like I encourage you to do it. You can join the Discord. The Discord links are the links are here, and on Discord you're going to have all the support that you need. If there are any further questions that I'm not addressing right now. And lastly, I just want to go a little bit. I know it's complicated, and I'm trying to still learn how to make it the easiest possible. And I found memes to be kind of like super intuitive for that. So basically, it's like you donate to great projects. You want to donate to great projects, do it through Giveth, and it's 0 fees, which is already interesting. And then you get up to 75% of value back, which is like, what? This doesn't happen in Web2 or anywhere that I know. And then you can stake that behind projects to help them get even more funds than the ones that you donated. So more than this 100%, 100 and something percent. And then you get an interest on the gift that you're staking behind the project, which is like, what? This is crazy. And then later on, they're going to be tokenized. And kind of like as a summary, so for donors, when in Web2 you just make a donation, in Web3 with Giveth you make a donation and you get Give, you stake Give, and you grow your investment, and then you help projects to get more funds and launch their own token. And from the project perspective, whereas in Web2 you just use the donation for impact, and that's amazing. In Giveth, you use the donation for impact, then you get even more funds from the matching pool, and then you launch your own token to spin off a sustainable microeconomy. So
it's the Shiba on steroids.
Yeah, well, you said it. It's Web2 on steroids.
That's funny, and I love that. I love the fact that you got that dog on steroids, because it's like the best way of explaining it. You're like, I don't know, it's like on steroids. But yeah, anyway, that's so cool. I should say that I love this. This is one of my favorite I guess memes. I love them. I love it so much. Cool.
I don't know. Well, maybe also a bottom line that I would like to add there is that, I mean, when we say we have a motto that we are building the future of giving, and for us, the future of giving is we're turning donors into donors and impact investors.
I love that. That's
with
awesome.
The same money that they donated.
I love that.
And we are turning makers and the people that are doing like for good projects from people that ask for money to do great things in the world to people that can sustain an economy that brings sustainable impact in the world. And I think that's the future of giving.
I love it. Wow. And that's actually probably what I should have named it. Blockchain, crypto, and the future of giving. So next time. Next time.
Let's talk.
This is a process. Anyway, thank you.
Invite me again when we have some updates.
It sounds like in a couple of months you are going to have some updates, so that's super cool. And especially because I definitely want to dip in. I went on the website and I was seeing like some pretty cool and radical projects where I was like, dang, this is like really interesting. I think there was like a Film 3 project, which I'm kind of obsessing about Film 3. At this point, if you've tuned in a couple of times, you hear me keep talking about Film 3. So yeah, it's super exciting. I definitely plan on dipping in. Yeah, so we'll talk in a couple more months when there's new and exciting things at Giveth.
Absolutely.
That's the Twitter handle. You can follow me on Twitter. And again, if you guys are getting into Web3, I really did not want to get into Twitter. I just didn't want to do it. But you got to. All the projects are there, right? And then you end up following their Discord because you want to be part of the community. It's a thing, y'all. So again, that's Giveth's Twitter handle. Join. And thanks again, Dan. We loved having you on. Thanks for walking us through that, because I know this is so complicated. So and thanks for making it so that our heads can wrap around and we can figure out how, with our own charitable projects, like how can we can launch projects on this and hopefully find donors and tap into a whole new donation type of model. So thanks again, Dan. And thank you again to our audience who is willing to deal with the fact that things may break. And this is Web3 Weekly Live. We're here every Thursday. Up there it says the time. Sorry, that way is the time. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. And we are always discussing new projects in this whole new Web3 world, which is the next generation of the internet. And it's going to be powered by blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. And we're just going to have to learn how to wrap our heads around things like DAOs, NFTs, et cetera, and tokenization and tokenomics. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Shira. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.